Listen, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Gerald Peplow. I've been in Yucaipa all my life. I was born in Redlands, and I spent 16 years in the Air Force in guarding weapons, and then I spent 22 years as teaching, and then I joined Yucaipa CERT. And the reason why I joined Yucaipa CERT was because I wanted to be part of Yucaipa, and it felt like it was a way for me to give back to the community and use the skills I've been taught. The first thing I want to do is introduce our topic. Our topic today is our drone capability. Now, our drone capability has to do with this equipment here. Now, the plans that we have are to be able to respond to any situation and just give extra eyes to first responders. All right, so I want to introduce you to my friends here. This one here is Da Niao. Now, I speak Chinese, and so I named them all Chinese or Chinese drones. Da Niao is a Mavic 3. Inside behind here is a gimbal that takes pictures, and you can see that on the other side. All of these drones, all of these UAVs, they seek satellites and are flying robots. I do not fly them. The people who tell you that they fly drones, they don't fly drones. They fly themselves. The only time that I will fly them is if they get lost. And if they get lost, that's a whole new process. Okay, so to fly this one, I can fly two ways. I can fly with goggles.
You're out of my view.
And these goggles make it so you are right there on top of everything. It is really, really cool. In fact, we had an exercise before. If I would have had these, there's no way I would have lost them. Now, the problem with the goggles, though, is to fly that, you also have to use a motion control.
I don't see anything.
And it's very sensitive. So it's not,
I don't see anything.
it's something you just have to get used to. Now, the big deal about this is that somebody here may be looking at
Are you moving?
A screen and it's getting jerky. If you don't know why it's getting jerky and everything else, it'll get in the way of your job of finding somebody. Okay? So, this is my go-to for visual. It's also my go-to for using the mask. But at the same time, I also have this. And this flies both these birds. It's just a simple RC controller. Now, I want you to imagine how tough it is to try to find somebody on that small screen. And those of you who are tech savvy, I need you. I need you desperately to help me get something done. I'll tell you that at the end. Okay. This is Song Ming Niao. That means smart bird. And this is the reason called smart bird because it was much smarter than Xiao Niao. Now, Song Ming Niao is a Mini 3, and it has avoidance. This has avoidance. So if it's going up to something, it will be able to direct itself. And again, I told you, it's a robot. The only thing is with that avoidance, I don't ever trust it because it's all the texture of the object. If it's a wall, it will not hit it. But if it's a tree that doesn't have solid texture, it can hit it. One thing to show that, this is, again, Song Ming Niao, a Mini Pro 3. This is Xiao Niao, little bird. This is the first one I got. It was really cool. And to show you how pretty reliable these things are, when I was flying it out at Santa Mateo one time, I tried to land it. This is back maybe my 8th flight. And I kept trying to land it, and bring it back because I thought I was going to hit something. And I looked down, and it was trying to land in a tree. I could see it on the screen that it was trying to land on a tree. It has sensor below it that tells it if it can land or not, and it won't land if it doesn't have terrain for that. Now, what's really cool is that we are, like, for example, I just recently was up at Forest Falls, so I was flying up there, and you're going to see that video later. But what happened was, there's no place to land the bird. And so some of you guys have seen me catch the bird. But what I do is I put my hand under it, and then the bird says, oh, wow, I'm going to land, right? But then it says, no, I can't land there. And so it goes back up, and it comes down, and it lands after it gets far enough up to look at my hand and say, hey, I guess this is an okay place. So if you see me landing it with my hand, it's because I may, well, for practice too, but I may not have a place to land. Okay, now, these birds, and I'm going to tell you about the next one later, these birds have to be registered with the FAA. And the registration lasts for 3 years. Now, the reason why they have to be registered with the FAA because our mission is a commercial mission. Now, meanwhile, this bird does not have to be certified with the FAA. And the reason why is because it's going to be under the trust system, which is what Congress made a test so that people who flew drones would know what they're doing with them. Okay? Meanwhile, I'm Part 107 trained, and I've passed the test that allows me to fly commercially. Now, why this is still able to fly with us is if we send somebody to go look inside, as long as there's enough light for it to see, it can go and fly in here, and we don't have to send somebody in. Now, it's not going to be technical like you see on TV and stuff like that. It's just going to be a quick look, and then I'm assuming it's probably going to crash, right? Because I'm trying to get it out. But I'm not worried about that. This is like a red shirt from Star Trek, right? You know, that's what this is a red shirt. This is a red shirt. This is a command. He's not going to go in dangerous situations. Now, what's really cool is I can also put the props on it, a prop guard on it. When I put the prop guards, that stops the blades from hitting things and stuff like that, so you're not going to hurt anybody. But it also, if the UAV bumps into a wall, it's not going to fall. It's just going to sort of fall, sort of like try to get its balance and everything else. But the problem with this indoors, as compared to this outside, this one can't see the satellites. So I want you to think of Blindsman Bluff, right? This guy goes into a room, there's no satellites. And since there's no satellites, it doesn't get GPS. But it still has visual sensors to help us get stable. If it gets dark, like flying in that area over there, then it might have problems trying to do what you want it to do. Okay? Now basically, I'm not going to go over these because we're going to do these more later. These are the controllers. Now this is a different one that you have to put a screen on. And again, like we talked about before, look how small it is. Okay, this is the one that Mike called me about. And boy, is it fun. It is fun. After the big snow, I went up and flew in infrared. Wow, was that cool? Wait till you see it. It's really cool. But it was amazing because like one of the things I saw is people wearing coats, right? But the heat from their bodies was making a rainbow right out in front of them. It was really cool. So this is an IR drone, and we're going to talk more about what it is later. But the problem is this is a 6-year-old drone. I was able to get it for $1,000, but this technology is a little behind, but it would have cost me like $6,000 to get it otherwise. And then we have this controller. Now this controller has more capabilities than everything else, and you're going to get to see a little bit of that. Now along with this kit, this is an enterprise kit. This is one for business. And so if you look inside sometime, then you'll see we have speakers, we have different lights, everything else that we need to be able to work in the field, okay? Now one of the things that this has, that these have, but this one doesn't, is so old it doesn't have remote ID. This is a remote ID module. This module, when I put it on this bird, transmits where it's at and where the pilot's at, so that law enforcement can come, okay? So, now I envision this pretty cool, because if we're out doing SAR, and for some reason I can't get whoever we found out, if I land this bird, good chance the bird's going to crash, right? But the module is going to locate, to tell us where the bird is, and so law enforcement can go find it. Really, really cool. That's not the purpose of it, but that's what I envisioned. Okay, so that makes sense, right, so far? Any questions? Okay, go ahead.
Will that also tell us where the person is if
Yes,
law
it will.
enforcement is not available?
Yes, it will. All you have to do is just get the app. Very, very cool. And this is a front load. Our problem is this. This screen and this screen is not adequate to find somebody. It's not adequate. So I need anybody here who knows somebody technically together, who knows themselves, how that we can get this equipment to transfer to go to the instant commander on a big TV, or the other option is I have somebody next to me looking on an iPad. It's horrible on an iPad. It's good for me because I'm not on a mission, but if I knew there was a kid lost out there and we had to look for the kid on the iPad, it would break my heart. So that's the next thing. I'm front loading this. I need somebody who knows what they're doing to help me get this set up so that we can transmit. I actually envision a command post at the city hall and a satellite command post over near the situation so that more people are looking at the screen. All right, so now, the next thing I want to do is give you a little bit of procedure. Okay, one of the things I'm going to advise you all to do is if you do start doing this, make sure that you act as professional as possible, which I know you do already. But the reason why is because there's a lot of people out there who are scared of the capability of UAVs. They don't understand the rules, and they think that you're out spying on them. Now, one of the ways to get past that, which is really cool, is I wear this vest. Now, it's really cool. I do have authority. When I say authority, I have authority as a pilot and my machine, right? But by putting this on, just like when you're wearing your CERT vest, you have perceived authority. For example, when we were there for Hillary, if it wasn't for Becky and I, the captain in the other locations, wearing our vests, it could have fell apart because people were taking too many sandbags and everything else. So, walk with authority, you got it. Make sure that if you're working with this at all, keep a log. Now the log is for me and everything else, but what's really for is if somebody accuses me of spying on them, if somebody accuses me of harassing them or something like that, when I walk into a judge and show them the log, do I look like the kind of guy who went out and just was playing with the drone? I don't look dangerous. This shows that I know what I'm doing. And on top of that, today, my skin's crawling. I flew my 1000th mission. I've flown it 1,000 log times, okay? And I've been in the air for 250 hours. Okay, so basically that's the introduction. And now if we were to go out into the field, I have to go out, let's say we're hiking in somewhere, which would be great if we can find a way to make that technology work for this. And a backpack that's all set up for me to be able to put my UAV in there and hike in, and then carry my batteries. Okay. The biggest problem, one of the problems I'm running into, it's not the biggest one, one of the problems I'm running into is you can't store lithium batteries for a long time charged. If you do, they will start to degrade, and you're just not supposed to do it like that. So we'll need charging facilities when we get out there, and whoever's going to be doing anything with this needs to make sure that they have maybe 2 batteries charged. That gives you about 40 minutes. Meanwhile, that 40 minutes is going on, the other battery's charging off through one of your generators. You have generators in the trucks, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I brought this up just to get everybody started about where we're going to go. This training or training phase 1, this is to get us ready for when they put us out in the field and we actually start getting a chance to use this. And I do plan, depending on when we're deployed or what we're going to do, is to go out and let you guys fly them too. Now that chases the next rabbit. As a Part 107 pilot, I am responsible to make sure that I'm the pilot in charge. I'm responsible to make sure that everything is safe. But I can only monitor one bird flying at a time. So if we set this up, we should do it as a general training and cycle people into the area so people aren't just sitting there watching it. And everybody should be getting an idea of what the pilot goes through. Does that make sense? Now, I am the pilot in charge. I'm the one that's going to be in trouble. In fact, during a real situation, when we get into it, I have $500,000 of insurance. It costs me $500 a year. I do that for me. That's why I fly them. You guys are very welcome to fly them when we're not doing anything important, but if that insurance thing comes up, it can hurt everybody. But if you're flying it, and let's say, for example, I'm tired, right? And say Frank wants to come up. And Frank, you look tired, Gary. So sure, I can sit back. He can fly it, but I have to monitor him. But I can only monitor him one at a time. Does that make sense? Okay. So in our training, my suggestion is if you set something up where I can cycle everybody through, I will have it all set up for that so everybody gets to feel the UAV. Does that make sense? All right. Now, I'm the pilot in charge. I know what's going on. The captain calls me and says, listen, that little boy is up in the valley. That's what we're hearing, but we don't know for sure. Can you go check? If that valley is out of my line of sight, I can see my bird about 1,000 feet. And if I fly beyond my line of sight and stay out of contact with with the bird, then they can yank my license, even in an emergency situation. So to me, that's one of those situations where I, as the pilot in charge, will say, hey boss, we can't, I'm not supposed to go there. And then he gives me more information and I say, okay, I agree with you boss, let's do it. And then it's a risk that I'm taking. Now the reason I'm telling you that is because when you become a pilot in charge, it's going to be a risk that you're taking. Everybody has that. It's just like anything else. You're going to kick in the door and watch out for a backflash or something like that. You just got to make the decision on the scene. Okay, good. Now, the next one that's on the team is the visual observer. And the visual observer is, I would say more important than the pilot. Because the pilot's got control of doing it here, but the visual observer is doing what? And this is Becky, she's my visual observer. So if you'll tell everybody what the visual observer does.
Okay, so
and everybody here, if she's not there, you may be the visual observer too. So it's a good idea for her to tell you what's going on.
okay, so then as a visual observer, my job is to keep the drone safe. One thing is I always make sure where the trees are, and he did mention keeping out of the trees, but also another main issue is telephone wires everywhere. Making sure he's not going to go near the wires. But also, I need to make sure I'm keeping my eyes on the drone all the time, not looking around to see other things. I'm keeping my eye on the drone and listening to planes and helicopters and saying there's a helicopter coming our way, so we have to pull it down. And then the other one is checking on what is his altitude, so we know how high he is, and how long of a battery life you still have left on that battery. Because he gets so focused in the drone that I want to make sure I know how long he still has left of a flight to fly. I think that's
about it. And she saved me. And the thing is that at the beginning, what's really amazing is the relationship we've come across. We've flown all over the world together. Ireland, Hawaii, all over the state. And the thing is by me trusting her trusting me. And one of the things that's really cool is that because we're married, we know each other, she stands up and says, Gary, I don't like you over there. Let's get out of there. If you're the visual observer and you don't like what's going on, be strong with that pilot. If the pilot says, I'm going to do this, say for example, the captain tells us to go out and get somebody, and the visual observer says, I don't see the bird anymore. I said, you know what? This is what we're going to do. The only thing is remembering, if I do something that I'm not supposed to do as a pilot, I can lose my license. So it's all that risk-reward benefit.
And some of the cases, if I can't see the drone, it may be because we have so many mountains. That drone is a little teeny thing with a mountain, but if I have them go up, blue sky, oh, I see you now, okay, now you can go, so I can follow them. But sometimes it's better to have that white cloud in the background or the blue sky versus the mountain hillside. So that kind of helps find it too.
All right, now the next thing is we have a searcher. We don't have that yet because we haven't had that training. That'll have to be a training that we're going to set up somehow, maybe on the same kind of day or something like that. In fact, it could be that I fly everybody and Becky teaches you how to use the searcher, the information, how to use the screen. Whatever we are using as a large display screen. Hopefully it's going to be a big screen that's like in City Hall or at wherever the command post is going to be. All right. That person is, when I'm flying and when she's watching the birds, she's not doing anything else. I am flying because my job is to be safe first. If I'm not safe, then I destroy the mission. That doesn't mean that I'm not looking. It doesn't mean that she's not listening or for clues or maybe looking at the screen once in a while. What it means is my job is to fly. Wherever Mike tells me to go, that's where I go. I'm not even supposed to be making the decisions of where to fly. I can give you examples. I can say it might be here, but I can't. That's not my job to decide where to fly. That's where the incident commander comes in. Okay, chasing that rabbit further, there's two more people that can be on the team. One for communications, and the other one could, or one more person, the communicator and scribe. But, of course, like anything else, if you don't have the person, if it's just Becky and I, if it's just Tim and I, then we're going to have to be the ones looking. We're just giving you the idea of where to go and how it's supposed to work. Okay, so that's the team. The team is in direct contact and under the control of the incident commander. Now, the incident commander has to wear a lot of hats. One of the things that the incident commander is going to do that has to do with this is, one, they're probably going to delegate where to search. But the incident commander is going to be the one that's in charge of setting up the TFR, Temporary Flight Regulations. What's going to happen is, if the airspace is being used, there has to be regulations for it. We already know that there's people who get out of the way of our fire planes and stuff like that. That's awful, right? So the thing that we need to do is get a hold of the FAA and the local towers and local air control and tell them that we have a situation. Meanwhile, the incident commander is also being charged with manned birds. Now, we already know that the manned birds, helicopters, light aircraft, when they come in, we're out of the way. But between that, let's say, for example, our helicopter leaves the airspace. We need someone to tell us, all right, we need you to go look at this. The helicopter saw this, we're going to take a look at this. So that's I think the biggest thing that I really want us to work on is understanding how the airspace works, because that's going to be the crux of what's going on. All right. So basically, this is the team. You guys are the team. Whoever's going to fill in. As a pilot, yes, I can let you fly while I'm not flying. Probably won't too much because of insurance. Now, the last thing I wanted to really bring up is that I have an offer to everybody here and everybody in Yucaipa. This includes fire. It includes sheriff. It actually would also include, if you want Esther to work in it, it could include Redlands CERT. My proposal is that we at least get some pilots started. Whoever wants to learn to do this, the test is $175. It would take about 2 months, I think, to cover it. And I am not going to be a teacher. And what I will do is facilitate study. I will facilitate study, which means that if we were to come here on the first one and I tell you what I know you're going to need to know, then you'll know what to study with. Then we meet once a week, once every 2 weeks, and then you ask questions. And I may not know the answer to those questions. I will just I will just go find those questions and either give you an email question, and that would be a blanket one so that everybody would know what it is. The goal being is that it is tough for a city to start a drone program. One, you have to buy it. Two, you have the insurance, all the other stuff that goes with it. But there's one thing for sure. If we don't have pilots, we will never get started. And what's another thing for sure is that most of the leadership in the city don't really understand where to go with it. And that's one of the reasons why we're making this video. So I'm proposing, at least as a start, that the first responders and CERT, and I don't mind either, it depends on you guys, if you have kids, I mean like 15, 16 years old, who want to get their Part 107, I will be here to get you started. I will there to help, but then we'll have a study group, and then after that study group, then everybody can go test, and it's easy. All you have to do is pay your fee, you go over to Calamasa, and then pass the test. It's a 60-question test, and you have to get 75%. So, it is a tough test, though. It's a very, very tough test. About half the people that, and I'm not trying to scare you, I'm not nowhere near trying to scare you, because it's worth it. But you can take it again. But you see where I'm going, right? All right. So I'm here to do that. Whoever would like to do that, we'll have to coordinate and figure it out so that we use the best time for that. Does everybody see where I'm going with that? Okay. Now here's my intention. I have a video here. It's about 15 minutes long. That's nice. It's fitting right in there. Okay. It's about 15 minutes long. You guys will get to see what the infrared does. You get to see what I forgot to tell you. This is liaño. Liaño means hunting bird. So, they tell you what's going on, how liaño works. And then, later on, I will show you more about how the rest of these work. Now, before I start that, are there any questions at all? Yes?
This is the one that you used when you were trying to find somebody. Do you remember?
Oh, yes. That was Danya. Right. And what had happened, the doctor found it. Right?
Just follow the tracks.
Yeah. Well, see, what happened is there was this big hole. And the person was on the edge of the hole. And I flew over on this one. Really depressing. It is. I mean, you remember that day. Yeah, it was really depressing.
Yeah, we were in the ATV there on purpose on the train.
Yeah, well, what I should have done, and this is all learning, is done slow. That was a likely place. I should have done, by the way, I'm bringing this up on purpose. Go by your instincts, right? I mean, I should have known that that would be a great place to hide. It's the same thing with the rest of it. So, that's where we're at. Any more questions? Yeah.
You were saying earlier that you might have people in other places watching, so your observer doesn't have to be where you are.
Well, the visual observer has to be within me. The searcher can be anywhere.
Okay, so, but say you're broadcasting to IC or somewhere.
Right.
So you can have someone with you, but you can also send it to somebody else to have an additional observer.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's what the best thing you can do. Even if it comes down to grabbing a generator off the truck and running into a tent and just putting a TV out in the tent.
Okay.
Now the thing is in most of these situations that I've seen, the ones where there's somebody alive and active, those get solved quickly. It's the search and recovery ones that take a long time. But we do want search and recovery. I mean, we don't want someone laying out there, a soul laying out there. And it may take, I think the last one, Tom, how long did it take him to find the person out there at Beaumont? Remember he went out to the Beaumont one, they were finding somebody?
Oh, no, it was over at the rest stop right here in Yucaipa.
Okay.
It took them maybe 5 hours.
Yeah, 5 hours as compared. again, searching for somebody that's
Yeah.
alive out there in that.
And people had to actually they had to walk quite a distance to find a way to get down into that channel to actually find
Right.
where the victim was.
Okay, so that tells you where we're at. Again, the main missions are going to be one, assessment. Let's say, for example, the captain calls, say, Gary, we're having a problem here. There was a flood, and we need you to look and see if you can see anything that's significant. And then, of course, you won't have to ask me. You'll be looking on the TV, or one of your heroes, or I'll be looking on the TV and saying, "Oh, okay, I got that. I know where it's at." The next one would be hazards. I mean, if there's a tanker out there that flips over, and they've been told that there's hazardous materials, maybe we'll want to call the drone, or the UAV. I hate to call it drones, unmanned aerial vehicle. Take the UAV and see if there's been a spill, right? If there's not been a spill, then maybe the heroes can go out and take care of that. Or, of course, the traditional search and rescue. So basically, again, last chance for questions. Anybody have any questions? Not really last chance. Okay, so what we're going to do, is we're going to call the front desk. Okay, so chance for more questions.
You talked about another aircraft in the area. Is this something where you're going to be filing the flight plan?
Oh, and that's good. Since I'm in the field, I love that. It's a great question. In the field, I'm going to be flying the bird. Okay? There's just no way I can do anything else but fly the bird. That's where the incident commander is going to have to coordinate and go out and make their decision. Are they going to file it? Now, when you file that, you can do verbal orders. Like, for example, if they ask me to do an in and out search, they can. That would be a flight plan, and the incident commander knows where you're at. But that wouldn't be a formal flight plan. But the real big thing is this: is integrating manned aircraft into drone. Now, if they are UAV, it's expensive to fly helicopters, you know that already. So if something turns into a search and recovery, there's probably going to be more reliance on UAVs based on what the incident commander wants. Because an incident commander who is using UAVs a lot will know how to utilize them, just like anything else. So that's totally up to whatever the incident commander makes a decision to do.
So under the, was it Part 107?
Mm-hmm.
You as the pilot in command, you don't have to, you pay attention to things like the type of airspace, and yes, I did go.
I love you asked that question. It was really smart.
And that's why I was asking about flight plans. If you've got, you're flying obviously.
Yeah.
VFR, but because of your interactions out there, is there a formal flight plan that you as a pilot in command have to file with the local?
Not unless there's time for it, but I won't be filing it if I'm out in the field. If we make it a search and recovery, right? If we decide we're going to do that, then yeah, we would set up a TFR, and I would say based on what the incident commander is telling me to do, that's exactly what I would do. I would set that up. But again, the big thing is what I worry about more is that first 12 hours. The first 12 hours getting out there, the fog of rescue. If we can get past the fog of rescue without hurting anybody, that's really the plan. But that was a really good question. Yes?
How long does it usually take to get all that food?
Oh, good point. And that's, it all depends on it really depends on, it's like all this stuff, the FEMA and everything else, it's who you know, right? So if it's an incident commander who knows who to call, and they've got somebody that's sort of in their pocket, it'll be just like that. But if it's an incident commander who doesn't know where to call, and they call they call this, say for example, Cal Fire, or if they call Yucaipa or something like that, and they don't quite know who to call, then that's gonna take longer. In that situation, it's really important, even though we haven't set up a TFR, which is a temporary flight restriction, keeping everybody out like they do for the Super Bowl, calling the local tower. Just calling the local control tower, like for this could be REI. I think it's a tower place, or calling Norton. If you call them, they'll give you all that help. But again, it goes down to the idea is we have to plan before it happens. And that's probably the best thing. Now, the one thing you said that's really important, I thought was really cool. It's on my phone. What I'll do is I'll show it to you later, or I'll do a whole video on it. I'll post it to you guys. I have something called air control, and what it does is it tells me all the airspace, where it's at. It doesn't tell me where the planes are, but it tells me where it's at. It also tells me places where it gives me a way to talk to the FAA and allow myself to fly next to an airport. So let's say, for example, talk about Norton. Right down the runway, you know the planes are coming in at like 100 to 200, 300, right? But on the side of it, they're not there at all normally. So they give you permission to go to 100, 200. When I did Santa Monica Pier, they have a TFR there. You can't, no, there's permanent flight restriction. You cannot fly over Santa Monica Pier. The reason why is because on the beach where I flew, you're restricted to only 50 feet. 50 feet was pretty cool. But by knowing that and knowing how to navigate the national airspace, then you can answer all those questions and find out, yes, 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 how does this go? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and show this. It is 15 minutes. If you need to go. Okay, this is using the controller from the beginning. Now I'm using Liemia, the hunting bird. Full-blooded.
I think the only way he can have a full-blooded wolf